Hi, and as always, thanks for tuning in to Love's Child. Our topic for today is politics. We are discussing the presidential race and/or presidential elections. Tariq, our political guru, if you will, is going to lead the segment. So I'll let Tariq take over.
Well, basically, this episode is going to be a first of many episodes we're going to deal with the political campaign of 2012. It'll be like our political series. And I can tell you guys right now, we have the Bill Maher's, the Bill O'Reillys, and all of this. We're going to do no holds barred. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat how I feel or how you should feel about what we feel, because what I see a lot of people is politically incorrect. So why not join the bandwagon, you know? And the reason why I say that, because I just watched Bill Maher's show. Of course, he deals with politics. You know, he had the politically incorrect show on ABC, and he has one on, I think, HBO now. And basically, what he called Obama, our black ninja president. You know, he respects Obama. He likes Obama. He's, you know, on his 2012 campaign, and he basically referring to the fact that, you know, Bush didn't get Obama, Osama bin Laden, or didn't get the Iraq guy. What was his name? Yeah, that's a shame. But the guy in Iraq, that Obama did and all that. So he's a gangster president, which I didn't like that he referred to him as a black gangster ninja. But whatever, you know, it's a free country. So two things that we can highlight. Right now we're going through the Republican primaries. We know that we have Mitt Romney running for president. We got Ron Paul running for president, even though he's like 100 years old.
He's only 76.
He looks 176.
He doesn't.
Ron Paul looks very old.
You think so?
Yeah. He's like somebody's granddaddy. Like great-great-granddaddy.
Okay.
That's how he gonna be president. He looked that old.
Reagan was old.
Well, Reagan was a celebrity. We knew Reagan being this fine actor, and but then even when he was old, he was a good-looking old. Like Ron Paul.
You don't think he looks healthy to you?
No, like if you blow him, he gonna fall over.
He's so silly.
So,
no, I like him. I listened to him. I was at the gym, in fact, when they were discussing the Republican presidential debates, if you will, and I like him. He's a physician. I don't think that he's going to win as president or win that part of the campaign. And I probably don't think well, I'm definitely voting for Obama. I know that's a little personal, but I'm voting for Obama.
No, we Obama 2012.
You too?
Of course. You know.
But I do like that he's a physician, and he did. I don't know if you heard this. What is the word I'm looking for? He challenged
to a bike race.
Right, to a 25-mile bike race in Texas in the heat of the day. I like that he said that because they wouldn't beat him.
But he only applying that because he's like, let everybody know he's a healthy old man. Okay?
Right. Oh,
you still look like you're about to fall over. Like, I just kick your bike and keep on going. So this year, of course, we know we have President re-elect Obama. You know, he's our president, but this is the year. So, you know, they go back to President-elect now because his term could possibly be over this year. So we have to refer to him as President-elect Barack Obama. And going into the primaries, one of the main concerns that I had before we got into the debates and the primaries and everything for the Republican Party was how the Democrats and Obama was going to really form their campaign, because as we well know, you know, we had the big horrible recession, the economy is bad, all of this and all of that, and we all knew that that's what was going to be the main focus going into this year. You know, Obamacare, healthcare was going to be a main focus, but the economy, of course, is the main focus. You know, before last year, you know, the last presidential election was more so, you know, the economy, but it had a lot to do with the war and all of that. I think a lot of people is comfortable with the war ending in Iraq. A lot of people is comfortable with don't ask, don't tell. A lot of these different policies that Obama has implemented since being in office, you know, closing up, you know, the Guantanamo Bay and, you know, releasing those prisoners. So a lot of people, unless you're very, very, not, you know, conservative, you might have little issues with it, but a lot of people are comfortable. But the economy is one of the major things that people are not comfortable with. And of course, Obamacare, if they, you know, quote unquote call it, you know, most majority of Americans didn't want it. So looking into his approval ratings going into the elections, he was like barely doing 51%, which you only doing 51. You get somebody that's very popular can come in and do 49 one week and here you 49 the next week, they 51, and now we have a new president. So it's very important for him not to be so close into an approval ratings. But so what do you think about, before we get more in depth about it, a general idea of the economy? Because the Democratic Party, or we don't have to say that, the White House, because he's still in the White House, so we can refer to it as still the White House, have recently revealed all these accomplishments. All of a sudden, the Obama team is ready. Jobs, 1.6 million jobs have been created in the last couple of months. The economy is on the rise, and We know it's a political thing, but also it's the truth. But do you feel like most Americans is feeling that way?
Can I say something on another note and then get right back to your question? I thought about, I don't know if you all saw this, and I don't even know if he even released it on one of our previous shows yet, but one of the things that we were talking about on a previous show, Tariq, Paris, and myself, what we were talking about was this very issue about politics. And what I said to them then is that I'm not really politically inclined. I don't really follow politics at all. I love Obama. I love what he represents. And I'm not saying that because of the color of his skin. I like his politics. I like who he seems to be as a person. And one of the things that Tariq and Paris said, and it's been on my mind ever since then, ever since they made this statement, is that they were saying that, I know specifically Paris, I'm almost certain that you said the same thing, or I think it was primarily Paris saying this, but I think you were in agreement with Paris, is that the person's personal life doesn't have anything to do with necessarily their political life. And when I heard it then, I disagreed with it, and I still disagree with it, because I think that, just take me for instance, and I'm not a politician and I'm not a leader, if you will, but how I behave or how I conduct myself in my personal life says a lot about me in my professional life, or even in this format. Because if I were anything that you can think of that's supposedly negative, if I were any of those things, it would lessen my credibility on presenting what I'm presenting to you right now. This whole format with this show. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So, I'm sorry.
Well, in my defense, when we talk about that, I specifically said someone's sexual encounters. It does not, to me, mean infidelity within a marriage or like a bat stick up their butt. I don't think, to me, what they do in their privacy, their bedroom, should have anything to do with their political endeavors, their political stands, their political party, how well they will be as a president or not how well. I don't see how sexuality played that much a part of it. Infidelity, okay, but we don't know the story behind that, why they cheated and stuff. And that's what we specifically, I don't think sexuality, meaning any form of sexuality, what they do in their bedroom.
When you say sexuality, you mean orientation or their sexual appetite?
That's what I'm saying. Sexual appetite, sexual orientation, sexual fantasies, sexual infidelities, anything. To me, sexual doesn't, for me personally, if they picking up a hooker at 3 in the morning, it's questionable, like, oh, they're freak. But I just don't see that really having anything to do with their political endeavor. You should keep it secret just because you represent, and it might look bad, but I don't think it impairs your sound judgment as a president, to me.
Really?
Just sexual. Like, if you are a murderer or something, then we don't want a murderer, but I just don't see, I think we put too much power into what people do in their privacy. Sexuality is supposed to be private.
See, my thinking is this, and I think that apparently, and this doesn't make it valid or anything. I'm not one of those kind of person. I'm not a numbers person. So like, the more people agree, that means it's right. It's a many of policies in our country as well as around the world where a bunch of people have said something to be the case, and then it was still wrong. For instance, with slavery, millions of people supported the institution of slavery, but it was wrong then just as well as it's wrong now. But when I was watching the Republican presidential debate, one of the things that I mentioned this to you at the gym, they asked the candidates what would their wives be like as first ladies. So obviously not only is who they are as individuals important, but also who their wives or children or family means something as well. It carries some weight as well. This is what I think. I do believe that I think if a person is a whoremonger, male or female, I think it does say something. I think if you and I are in a relationship, and if I'm unfaithful to you, now this is a monogamous relationship, and this is what we've agreed upon, but I can't uphold that part of the agreement, of the marriage, of the relationship, then I think it says something about my character. I think that part of me, obviously, while it's very personal, it's in regard to our relationship, I think it's going to spill over into other areas of my life. I think the fact, and this is true, I think
That's anything.
Right, that's my point.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like they only use sexuality because it's a scandal, it's something to talk about. I don't think that, like, just like what happened to Kane, the black guy who was running for president, who was doing very, very well, you know, in the beginning of the Republican race. You know, I mean, of course you can't sexually harass anybody, so there you go. But I already knew they were going to find a reason.
Yeah, I did too.
You know, I kept telling everybody, we're not about to have two black
presidents,
people running for president.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to happen. And then he was just, then I feel like they used him as like
a pawn.
But not just a regular pawn, like a monkey pawn. Like, he was so conservative for like no reason. His black self was up there acting like, you know, he don't look like he just came from Africa. And I'm not trying to be funny, but it looked ridiculous. Like, I have a really, it looked ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? It's one way to be conservative, it's one way to be a Republican. We know it's black Republicans, and you can be that. But for him to be up there is just so nasty and so right-winged, it just was, you know, come on, we're not buying it. America wasn't going to buy it. They just needed you for some type of get everybody thinking about the Republican Party, and which they did. The scandal, the success, and ultimately his failure. And where is he at now?
Right.
Nowhere to be heard.
Right.
And he had raised all that money. So I wonder if all that money going in his campaign.
In his pockets. So the other part is that, okay, even aside from like sexual matters, and I'm trying to think of what other kind of indiscretion there could be. I still feel like who that person is. It says a lot about who they are in their personal life, says a lot about who they are, in this case, their political life or their professional life, even if they weren't a politician, if they were a physician, if they were a lawyer, if they were a school teacher. It says something about that person, and I think that we need to scrutinize their behavior and habits. Again, one of the reasons why, now obviously, you know, I do not know President Obama personally. I don't know him personally, but what I know about him, I really like and respect. I like the fact that he's married, regardless of who Miss Obama is, he's married to her. From what I understand, the relationship is one of monogamy, and they're faithful to one another.
I like to the National Enquirer.
Can't believe them. But I like the family dynamic. I like that there's some other things that's unrelated necessarily to his personal self as far as his values. But I like the fact that he's articulate, that he expresses himself well, that he's intelligent. I think he represents black people because he's half black, white people because he's half white, and I think he represents the nation because he is the president very well. And that would be my reason for re-electing him, because of those things that he's done. Some of these other persons, I'm not really comfortable with Newt Gingrich for some reason, and Mitt Romney
is too rich.
He got a lot of money.
He has a lot of money. I mean, he invested in Sally Mae, he invested in Fannie Mae, and the rest of those.
Well, he's a Republican.
No, I'm just saying, he has, like, he's rich. He owns a lot of stuff. Like, they say he's like borderline a billionaire.
Is that right?
So there's no way that he's about to be anyone's president. And, you know, Obama's, if you watch his, you know, could be his last State of the Union, which, you know, usually the last State of the Union of a presidential term is usually the format for their re-election campaign. And so he made it very, very clear, Republicans trying to give tax cuts to millionaires, millionaires trying to get millionaires richer. You know, one thing I can say about Obama, which I respect at the same time I'm indifferent about it, is the way that I feel like they kind of did what I was saying about Kane, using him as a pawn. I mean, I think Obama, to a certain degree, is a pawn as well for the Democratic initiatives. He's so left-wing, you know, winged. He's so, you know, tax cuts for the, you know, the different families, and you know, free health care for this and this and this, and he, you know, and which I feel like you have to do, you know, because there's no way that you can come to a middle ground if it's not polar opposites at some point. But I feel like he had his 4 years of that. So I thought maybe he was going to come back in, you know, with a little bit more of a softer blow. But I guess because of the attack from
Yeah.
the Republicans, he's not going to be able to. He's going to have to really separate himself because they don't like him. Like, I mean, they do not like Obama. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's evident in their speech. It's evident in, you know, but they have a lot of reasons too. Obama has put the most liberal policies in place since he's been in office. He does not apologize about it. You know, like with Bill Maher, he's a gangster president to a certain degree. He's very straight to the point and very hard. Like he forced Obama. Well, let me stop calling Obamacare. He forced his health care onto people. He forced his different initiatives, which, if you're president, I mean, you have the option to, you know, veto and overrule certain policies, and he did. And we know when the Republican come to office, they're going to get rid of a lot of their issues. But I think one of the main things we need to address and try to listen to both parties, because I don't really necessarily agree with every economic standpoint that Obama has given. All these stimulus checks, they didn't come in my pocket. I'm just saying, you know, who's really getting these checks and who's really getting helped out. I mean, you know, for the guys who own the businesses, the single-owned families, small-owned businesses, they getting all these stimulus checks and stuff. Well, what about me? You know what I'm saying? I think, you know, you really need to look into the policies that both parties are bringing forth.
You know, that's one of the things. Again, I don't follow politics at all. I really, and it's somewhat sad. I will, as I said, I'm going to support Obama, President Obama, when re-election time comes about. But as I said to them before on another show, to Tariq and Paris, is that to me it seems like politics has become something of a farce. It's like watching a soap opera. From the things that we were just talking about, as far as the acts of infidelity on some of the politicians' parts, to just their cat fights and everything. I don't like that in my own personal life, let alone watching on TV, dealing with especially those who are representing us. That's something else I wanted to say too, is that one of the things that Paris said as well. I don't know if Paris is saying all this stuff for you all, or these are his actual thoughts and opinions. I meant to ask him that, but one of the things he said too as well, and I think you may have agreed with this as well, about this whole thing of leadership. What they were saying, or specifically what Paris was saying, is that leaders are everyday people, and they are. Obviously, a leader is not a god, so he is or she is just like you and I. But just like with other persons, leaders are expected, or that quality, them being a leader, is supposed to be a talent. That's a talent of theirs to be a leader. Certain persons are chose for certain reasons. If you have certain capabilities or qualities, that's what makes you a leader. It's just like if we were talking about Beyonce or Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, or Patti LaBelle, or Dionne Warwick, whomever else we can think of as far as singers are concerned, Luther Vandross, whatever. Well, they're who they are. God bless them with that unique talent, and their talent, it sets them apart from the average singer and the average non-singer. And so too is the case with leaders. Yes, they are human, just like we are, but they're expected to have within them certain things that we don't necessarily have in us. A certain strength about themselves, a certain adherence, a certain value system. So if I'm a booster, if I'm a thief, then my leader is expected not to be a thief. He's expected to do what leader is, lead. But if he is doing the same thing that I'm doing, if I'm a whoremonger, if I'm a thief, if I'm a liar, if I'm a whatever other kind of thing that you can think of, and he's the same thing, then what it is it's the blind leading the blind. And we're going to run into walls. So the leader is supposed to be different from us. And that's why I have such a problem with these so-called leaders and politicians of the day, is because they're not in fact leaders. They need to separate themselves from the masses of people. They can't be involved. They can't be on the tabloids just like some of these other persons are, because they're leaders. You know what I mean? And
I totally agree. I just feel like the only, like I said, back to piggyback, I just feel like we use the sexual angle as if that has more reference or more, you know, ooh, you can't do that, you know what I'm saying, or the whole, I mean, I understand it though, because, I mean, the political, I mean, that's what politics is. Like when you said a thing like I mean, it's always been that way. I mean, that's what politics is, a board game. I mean, when you think of politics, you think of everyday life politics, it's about maneuvering, getting to the top, getting to the bottom, making things happen. You know, it's all political. So when you really think about it, where else for politics to go but to the soap opera, or to the box of the ring, or to, you know, to the cattiness, I mean, that's what politics, that's the way not just America was built on. I mean, that's when almost every civilization is built on some type of political, someone has to be in charge. Somebody has to be the lesser people, somebody has to be the greater people. I don't necessarily agree with these concepts or these structures, but I mean, this is a, you know, Anglo-Saxon society, so it's always been that way. And I mean, I totally agree with you. Leaders should exemplify leadership skills. They should be better. They should, I mean, and to be president, you have to be. You know, there's no way that you can, you know, most of the stuff that they bring out is false stuff. If you look for truth to all these scandals, like with Kane, he's out. You know, I mean, the president is very much so set to a higher standard. They can't, you know, fart to the left and do it on the plane and then somebody in first class smell it. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, it has to be swept under the rug, you know. They gotta like, don't you ever fart again, Obama. You know how much publicity it took for you not to get that part out to YouTube, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Especially with YouTube. Did you see the clip where he got a boner on the plane? Like you can see his print. He was on the phone with somebody. They like, Mr. President, sit down. Mr. President, sit down.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's like it's a YouTube clip. Whatever. But I'm just saying, those little things is, you know, that important. Whether you're getting a hard on, which is the most normal thing a man can do. But the president cannot get a hard on. No, he don't use that thing. You know, Leah and the other girl just came about. He don't actually have sex with the shit. You know, that the president don't have sex, so I mean, I totally agree with you.
Are you serious? I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You said the President Obama boner or something like that. So it's very true. But getting, you know, to wrap this up, the Republicans, it's going to be I think Mitt Romney has it. I mean, which to me is saying President Obama has it, because I just don't see why America will make your president, if he richer than all of America, he don't need to be president. I feel like he's no way that he's in touch with society. He's a businessman, yes. He can be a governor, yes, but is he everyday believable? I just know he can kiss as many babies as he wants. I'm not buying it. You know what I'm saying? He's out of touch with society from several points. And I mean, he ran for president last time. We weren't buying it.
Well, what do you think about? And see, I don't know his politics at all. You know, I did see that the debate. Romney. I did see. Oh, so you're talking about Romney's the wealthy one, though. Yeah. So I don't know much about any of them, to tell you honest to God truth. But piggybacking, actually pulling out from what you said about him being wealthy, and I know that because he's from the Republican Party and the president I'm about to mention is from the Democratic Party. What do you think about President Kennedy being wealthy as well when he was elected in office?
Well, President Clinton, I mean,
different politics,
different types. I feel like Mitt Romney is not just wealthy. He's a shark and a business. I mean, he's a businessman. Like Kennedy is from wealthy family, which is the Bushes, which is like, you know what I'm saying. Most president comes from a wealthy background. I mean, it started out as a child to a certain degree. Maybe Obama started out, you know, through college, you know, Harvard and all of that. But I look at Romney as, because, you know, he's using this whole economic thing. You know, of course, everybody's talking about economy, and it's just really hard for me to believe this man who owns part of Sally Mae, you know, to be, you know, talking about what he's going to do in tax cuts and stuff like this. Like, you are part of all of this. For you to be that involved and that invested, and then during the debate, he's like, I don't apologize for being a successful businessman. I don't apologize. You don't have to apologize. But most of America is fighting against your beliefs anyway. And even though you're giving jobs to certain people, you know, it just still seems out of touch with reality for most Americans. So I don't think how they going to elect him to think that he's going to fix the economy for poor people, for people who need jobs. He just don't seem like the one on that level. And then he just don't seem like he had enough international policies, enough international experience. He just seemed like a businessman that's trying to use his money to become president. So, and he was governor of Massachusetts. Okay, yeah, most governors.
Little bitty Massachusetts.
Not little bitty. I mean, there's a lot of political, you know, Boston and Massachusetts. That's a New Hampshire, the whole New England. That's a big political arena to be governor. That's a big thing. Where, you know, Obama had Obama did that opposite. Obama never ran anything. He was just a senator, which senators don't run anything. They just lobby for, you know, political changes and policies and stuff like that. Now he's president. When you got somebody who was a governor, who's a successful billionaire and stuff like that running. So who you want?
Who I want to win?
Obama.
Of course.
So
Obama.
Definitely we're gonna, like I said, this is part one. We gotta deal with the Florida primaries. If you're Republican, go out and vote. If you're a black Republican, white Republican, woman, go make your vote count too, you know, so don't discourage yourself from voting. If you're a Democrat, just wait, campaign, read, and, you know, educate yourself on what's going on, because I really do feel like politics is important. A lot of people don't, but it affects you. It affects your paychecks, it affects your tax return, it affects when you're buying a house, it affects how much APR you're gonna have on your car. I mean, those things that you act like doesn't exist is there. Money is getting taken out of your checks, money is getting taken out of your car notes, money is getting taken into your food stamps.
Very good, very well said. I'm glad you said all that. Because I hadn't considered all those things. And see, that's one of the reasons why, I don't know, we did say this on an earlier show, I believe it was the intro, is that Tariq had majored in international studies in political science, and the boy is like a whiz when it comes to this kind of stuff, and it was one of the reasons why I wanted him to facilitate this conversation that we're having, is because he knows his stuff. I mean, he's really, really intelligent, period, across the board. But when it comes to these certain things about international studies, politics, and all that kind of stuff, he knows it. And I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't, again, like I've said already on this show, is that I'm not really into politics. I do believe that we need to vote. We need to have persons who are upstanding persons represent us, but I hadn't thought about it to the degree that you just mentioned, as far as, you know, the money factor, because money is, you know, it makes the world go round. Right.
Whoever the office is affecting your paycheck, is affecting your SSI, is affecting your future for SSI. You know, if it's
student loans,
your student loan, like you might not think it's directly hitting you, but when you go to that gas pump, when they're dealing with international affairs that deal with gas issues, when they're dealing with war, I mean, these things affects you. When Atlanta say, oh, it's a disturbing package in the middle of Peachtree Street. I mean, you know, defense and all of that. I mean, everyday things does affect you, whether you don't want to admit it or not.
Very good.
So definitely encourage you to know what's going on in America, because America is going to go on with it without your participation. And so you will want to make yourself a part of the American, you know, society, and voting is definitely the way the world goes around.
Democratic, right? It's democracy.
So Facebook us, Twitter us, subscribe, let us know how you feel, tell us who you voting for, or keep it to yourself. I know it's very taboo to say who you voted, but we Obama 2012 over here, so if you don't like it, let us know. Okay, that's fine. So
there you go.
Thank you.
As always, we thank you for joining in and listening to us. And again, do everything that Tariq just said regarding subscribing and all of that. We want to hear what you have to say about this topic as well as the other topics. Peace.
Holla.